Asterion Station was a scar of polished metal and hard light, stitched against the black velvet of the conquered rim. It turned slowly, a grand, silent wheel processing the thin trickle of commerce and politics that defined the frontier. Deep in its industrial spine, in a sector that smelled of ozone and lubricant, Ash Rayner was methodically replacing a thermal coupler. The work was precise. It was honest. It was quiet. He had not spoken to another human being in 3 days. He considered it a good week. A chime, thin and unwelcome, cut through the mechanical hum. A summons, not from his shift supervisor, but from the diplomatic sector. Ash wiped his hands on a rag, his movements economical. He was a tall man, built with the dense, functional muscle of a soldier. But he moved like the technician he had become, careful, deliberate, leaving no trace. He preferred the company of machines. They were complex, but they did not lie. The summons was an irritation. It was also, he noted with a grim lack of interest, his 40th birthday. 10 years ago, he had commanded Grey Dawn. They had been the Human Concord Scalpel, a special forces unit trained in asymmetric warfare, neural-linked and razor-sharp. Then came the Xylos campaign, the psychic trap, and the screaming. Ash had been the only one to walk out, carrying the ghosts of his entire team. He had buried Commander Rayner that day, taken a technician's rating, and sought the quietest, most distant posting he could find. Asterion Station was his penance, his monastery. The diplomatic lounge was the station's opposite. It was all white surfaces, holographic art depicting tranquil alien worlds, and air that smelled faintly of expensive, synthesized floral notes. Ambassador Halvern was waiting, smiling a smile that did not touch his eyes. He was a soft man in a sharp suit, the very picture of conquered bureaucracy. Technician Rayner, Halvern began, his voice smooth. Thank you for coming on such short notice. And may I be the first to wish you felicitations on this. Your day of birth. Ash kept his face neutral. Ambassador, my shift ends at 1700. Is this about the Sector 4 conduits? Halvern chuckled, a dry, papery sound. No. Nothing so mundane. This is a cultural matter, a diplomatic honor. He gestured. From an alcove, 2 figures emerged, and the room's atmosphere changed. They were female, humanoid, and utterly alien. They were Velithari. Ash felt the old instincts tighten his stomach. He had never seen one in person. Their skin was the color of polished alabaster, and it seemed to glow with a faint, internal light. They wore sleek, dark uniforms that seemed to absorb the light around them. As you know, Technician, Halvern continued, the Velithari Compact is crucial to Concord stability. Their economy, their entire technology, is based on their unique biophotonic biology. They perceive and manipulate energy in ways we can only dream of. They are sensitive. Ash said nothing. His gaze assessed them. They were tall, slender, with faces of impossible, symmetrical beauty. Their eyes were deep, solid pools of color, lacking pupils. The one on the left, her internal light a steady, cool blue, had eyes of deep violet. She stood with a stillness that was absolute, a statue of regal composure. The one on the right was different. Her light was a quicker, silvery flicker. Her eyes were mercury, restless and sharp, taking in Ash, Halvern, and the room in tiny, darting movements. The Velithari value tradition, Halvern said, stepping aside. And in their ancient custom, to honor a new accord, they offer a rite of endowment, a gift, to a representative of their new partner. Ash looked from Halvern to the 2 women. The stillness in the room felt heavy. Ambassador, Ash said slowly, his voice flat. I am a grease monkey. I fix pipes. This feels disproportionate. Ah, but you are not, Halvern said, his smile tightening. The Velithari value authenticity, They requested a representative of Earth's valor, not a politician. Your file was compelling. The hero of Xylos, hiding as a hermit. It appealed to their sense of drama. The trap was laid. Ash felt his jaw clench. File. And this. Gift, Ash asked. Them. Halvern said simply. Sarah Lauren and Nick Saralai, an honor guard, a diplomatic attaché. They are to be your companions. Ash stared. You're giving me people for my birthday. His sarcasm was a raw, rusty blade. Halvern's smile never wavered. It is a high honor. Technician, not servitude. It is a cohabitation, a bonding, for a period of 30 days, to facilitate understanding between our species. The calm one, Sarah Lauren, stepped forward. When she spoke, her actual voice was a series of melodic, layered chimes. A fraction of a second later, the neural translator implant near Ash's ear rendered it in flat Concord standard. Technician Ash Rayner. We are Sarah Lauren and Nick Saralai of the Velithar. We come in accordance with the right. We consent to the diplomatic cohabitation period of 30 days. Do you accept this charge? It was a script. He could hear it. Her violet eyes were locked on his, and they held a message he could not read, something far colder than the diplomatic warmth. The other one, Nick's, was practically vibrating, her mercury eyes sharp with an impatience that bordered on hostility. This is insane, Ash said, not to them, but to Halvern. This is diplomacy, Halvern countered, his voice losing its warmth. The interspecies diplomatic cohabitation laws are clear. You are a conquered citizen, and this is a formal request from a compact partner. Refusal would be a grave insult. Catastrophic, even. It was not a request. It was an order. The hero of Xylos. They were using his past to chain him to this. Ash looked at the two women. They were caught, too. He saw it in Sarah's rigid posture and Nyx's barely concealed fury. They were all part of a political play. Fine, Ash said. He nodded once to Sarah. I accept the charge. Now what now? Halvern beamed. You begin. You will share quarters, share sustenance, share environment. The law requires full integration. It is the only way true understanding can be forged. The walk to Ash's quarters was the longest in his life. The opulent white corridors of the diplomatic wing gave way to the gunmetal gray and exposed conduits of the industrial sector. The two Velithari women followed him, their steps making absolutely no sound. The contrast was jarring. They moved with the liquid grace of predators, yet their faces were as serene as moons. Ash's quarters were one room. A bunk, a terminal, a small hygiene station, and a single, reinforced viewport looking out onto the station's massive, spinning superstructure. It was a cell. His cell. He opened the door. The two women entered, their otherworldly glow illuminating the stark, functional space. Nyx Aralai finally spoke. Her translated voice was sharper, higher-pitched. This is where you live. It is. Gray. It works, Ash said, throwing his tool bag onto the room's only chair. Sarah Lauren surveyed the space, her gaze missing nothing. The ritual requires proximity. We must share this space for the full 30 days. The cohabitation laws are precise. Right, Ash said. He pointed. One bunk, one chair, one floor. We'll rotate. I've got protein paste and coffee. I doubt your biophotonic systems run on caffeine. A small, sharp smile flickered on Nyx's face. We draw ambient energy. The station's power grid is sufficient. Her mercury eyes lingered on his terminal. Mostly. Nyx, Sarah said, a quiet warning. She turned her violet gaze to Ash. We must establish the parameters of consent, though the right of endowment frames this as a gift. We are not property. The law requires our continuous, Willful consent to the proximity, as it requires yours. Are we clear? Her formality was a shield. She was telling him she was a prisoner, not a present. You're in a political cage, Ash said flatly. I'm in the cage with you. I get it. Yes, Sarah said, her expression unchanging. A cage. Ash turned away, busying himself with the coffee maker, fighting the involuntary flinch. Cage. The word echoed. It brought back the smell of plasma and the cold, metallic taste of the Xylos trap. He felt a phantom thrum, a deep, cold stillness buried in his spine, right above his pelvis. The resonant anchor. It was his secret. The one thing his file would not show, because it was experimental tech, scrubbed from the records. A neural implant designed to stabilize and project his own consciousness, to create a harmonized field for his team. The anchor had been his greatest weapon. It had allowed Grey Dawn to move as one mind, to anticipate, to react in perfect, deadly sync. And it had been a conduit. When the psychic bomb went off, the anchor had been wide open. It had linked him to every member of his team as their minds were torn apart. He had felt all of them die, a chorus of agony amplified through his own skull. He had locked the anchor that day, thrown away the mental key. It sat in his body, inert, cold. A tombstone he could never visit. He would never, ever, open that door again. The first night was a crucible of awkwardness. Ash took the floor, laying out a thin sleep mat. He gave the bunk to Sarah and the chair, which reclined, to Nyx. He lay down fully clothed, facing the door. The room's main lights went out, leaving only the dim glow from the status panels and the vast, starry emptiness outside the viewport. He feigned sleep, listening. The two women did not lie down. He heard soft, chiming whispers, their real voices, untranslated. After an hour, they settled. He risked opening his eyes. They were sitting back to back on the bunk, and they were feeding. Sarah's skin pulsed with that soft, cobalt light. Nyx's flickered silver. They were not sleeping. They were drawing energy from the station itself. He could almost feel the pull from the wireless power grid, the communications array, the low-level radiation of the station's core. They were luminous, beautiful, and utterly alien. Electric vampires, he thought. And the thought was not entirely humorous. He was almost asleep, hours later, when the whisper cut the dark. Ash Rayner. It was Sarah's real voice. No translator. He was on his feet in a single, silent motion, his hand grasping for a weapon that had not been there for 10 years. Both women were standing. Their light had changed. It was faint, flickering, sickly. What Ash said. The energy, Sarah whispered. And the translator kicked in, her voice now a flat overlay. It is tainted. There is a harmonic, a resonance that is not part of this station. It is artificial. Nyx was already at his terminal. She did not use the interface. A crystalline filament, like a preternaturally long fingernail, extended from her index finger and slid directly into the terminal's diagnostic port. Code scrolled across the screen, a blur of text faster than any human could read. She is right, Nyx said, her voice tight, urgent, a parasitic layer. It's piggybacking on the neural translator network. It's weak, but it's focused. Focused where Ash said, moving to her side, the cold dread building. Nyx's mercury eyes flashed to him, her silver light pulsing with agitation. On this room, on us. It is designed to capture empathic and bioelectric field data. Specifically, Velithari and human, together. Sarah looked pale, her blue light fading to a dull gray. She looked violated. This is not a diplomatic ritual. This is an experiment. Nyx's hands flew, bypassing station security, pulling blueprints. I am tracing the source. The signal is strong. It's close. They wouldn't put the device in the target's room, Ash said, his mind racing, falling back into old, tactical patterns. That's sloppy. It is not sloppy if the target is not you, Nyx countered, her voice sharp. The target is the connection. They needed a baseline. The room was prepared. We were the variables. The device. It is here. She pointed to the main conduit panel on the wall opposite the bunk. The primary resonance node? It's right there. In your wall. Ash tore the panel from the wall. The metal groaned in protest. Behind the standard conduits, tucked into a shielded recess, was a black box. It was not Concord military. It was not civilian tech. It was sleek, sealed, and humming with a faint, oily energy that made his teeth ache. The gift, the ceremony, the cohabitation. It was all a lie. Ash stared at the box. The sensation, that slight, pervasive pressure in his skull. He recognized it. It was a crude version, a pale imitation. But it was the same flavor of technology that had killed his team. The same obscene attempt to weaponize consciousness. Halvern, Ash said, the name tasting like poison. I traced the command signal, Nyx said, pulling her filament from the port. It terminates deep in the diplomatic sector. Shielded. Ambassador Halvern's private network. He is monitoring us. We run, Nyx said, her silver light flaring bright with anger. We fight our way out, now. No. Sarah's voice was firm, though she was visibly trembling. The right is binding. The law is absolute. If we break quarantine, if we attack, Halvern will brand us as unstable, as failures of the endowment. He will have legal cause to contain us, to study us. She is right, Nyx hissed. We will prove his hypothesis. It is a perfect trap. Ash looked from Sarah's controlled, strategic fear to Nyx's volatile, reckless fire. He felt the old, familiar weight of command settle on his shoulders. He hated the feeling. But the hermit's peace was an illusion. It had always been. He placed his hand on the black box. It was warm. Sarah is right, Ash said, his voice quiet. All traces of the technician gone. We can't run. And we can't stay here and be lab rats. That leaves no options, Nyx snapped, her fists clenching. It leaves one, Ash said, turning to face them. The dim light of the room cast shadows across his face, making him look like the soldier he used to be. They want a show. They want to watch the human and the aliens bond. So we give them a show. We play the happy integrated family. We follow the script. And in the dark, where they can't see, we dig. We find out what this system is. We find out who Halvern is working for. Sarah studied him, her violet eyes deep and searching. The strategist in her recognized the strategist in him. You would pretend. While they are listening to our minds. They are not listening to our minds, Ash corrected. They are listening to the static between us. They think I'm a broken soldier and you are gifts. He looked at the black box, then back at them. We'll play our parts. And while we do, we are going to find out exactly what they want. And then we are going to take it apart. He thought of the anchor, cold and silent in his spine. A secret they were not monitoring. A variable they had not accounted for. I've done it before, Ash said. I'm very good at playing a part. The next cycle began at 0600. Ash Rayner woke on the floor, his back stiff. The room was bathed in the soft, dual-spectrum glow of the Velithari. Sarah Lauren and Nyx Aralai were not sleeping. They were sitting on the bunk, legs crossed, facing each other. Sarah's light was a deep, steady cobalt blue. Nyx's was a restless, flickering silver. They were motionless, their eyes closed. A faint, almost imperceptible thrum vibrated in the air. They were charging. Ash watched them for a full minute, feeling like an intruder in his own small room. They looked like goddesses from an old myth, drawing power from the station's very bones. He rose silently, moving to his small nutrient station. He activated the dispenser, a gray, nutrient-rich paste extruded into a bowl. He then activated the water heater, the aroma of synthetic coffee beans, his one programmed luxury, began to fill the small space. Nyx's aerolized mercury eyes snapped open. Her head turned, her expression one of profound offense. "What is that smell?" she asked. Her translated voice was sharp with disgust. "Coffee," Ash said, pouring the steaming black liquid into a metal mug. "It smells like burnt soil, like a chemical fire." "It is my ambient energy source," Ash said, taking a sip. The heat and bitterness were a comfort. They were real. "We all have our rituals. Ours is efficient," Nyx said, gesturing to herself and Sarah. Sarah's violet eyes had now opened, her expression placid. "Yours is offensive and slow." "Nyx," Sarah said. Her voice was calm, a quiet counterpoint to Nyx's agitation. "We are guests. We must adapt to the local customs, even if they are primitive." Ash almost smiled. "Glad to know you both agree. Now, we have a problem." He did not look at the hidden panel. He kept his back to it, acting for the sensors he knew were watching. The cohabitation law. It says we must integrate, share environments. That means you are with me. I have a job. You get to watch me fix conduits. Nyx looked appalled. "We are to watch you fix pipes, unless you want to sit in this gray room for 30 days, Ash said. "Besides, it is the perfect way to perform. We will be the model of interspecies harmony." Sarah inclined her head, her blue light steady. She understood immediately. It was a cover. "We would be honored to observe your work. Technician Rayner." Nyx just scowled. "Honored." Before they left, Sarah moved close to Ash, ostensibly to inspect his uniform. She brushed a piece of imaginary lint from his shoulder. Her fingers were cool. "The sensor in the wall is active," she whispered, her real, chiming voice too low for any microphone to catch. "It is listening. It is feeling. We cannot speak freely." "I know," Ash murmured back. "I have a plan for that. For now, we play our parts. You are curious. I am inconvenienced, but dutiful." "A role you play well," Nyx whispered from behind him, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Let's go," Ash said, opening the door. Their walk through the industrial sector was a performance. Crew members and maintenance drones parted ways for them, staring openly. Ash was the grim, silent human. The two Velithari, with their luminous skin and alien grace, looked like captive royalty. Ash hated the stares. He hated the way the crew looked at the women. He hated the entire, degrading charade. He led them to a junction in Sector 4, a nexus of plasma conduits and data lines. He opened his toolkit. "I have to rebalance the flow," he said, his voice loud enough for any observers. He began his work, his movements precise, practiced. Sarah and Nyx stood nearby, observing. After 10 minutes, Sarah approached him. "Technician Rayner," she said, her voice formal. "This energy flow, it is inefficient. The oscillation is creating a harmonic distortion." Ash paused. He looked at the diagnostic screen. "It is within tolerance." "Tolerance is not efficiency," Sarah said. She lifted her hand. Her fingers spread. Her cobalt light brightened. She was not touching the conduit, but Ash could feel the shift. The hum of the plasma changed, deepening, smoothing out. The numbers on his diagnostic screen stabilized, falling into perfect, uniform alignment. He stared at her. "How did you do that?" "We do not just consume energy," Sarah said quietly. "We perceive it. We Attune it. This conduit is now balanced. Nyx sauntered over, a smirk on her face. She is a natural. I prefer deconstruction. She tapped a secondary panel with her crystalline filament. A security lock indicator flashed red, then green. Your security protocols are also inefficient. Ash shut the panel, his heart hammering. Do not do that. Not out here. Why? Nyx challenged. We are just integrating, helping. You are helping me get executed, Ash hissed. He turned back to his work, his shoulders tight. Just stand there and try to look ornamental. The barb hit its mark. Nyx's silver light flashed. We are not ornamental. Good, Ash said, not looking up. Then you know this is a performance. Stick to the script. They returned to the room for their midday sustenance cycle. Ash ate another bowl of gray paste. The two Velithari stood near the viewport, absorbing the ambient light from the station and the distant, cold stars. We cannot continue like this, Sarah said. Once the door was sealed, we are blind. We are deaf. That box in the wall. It is a leash. I agree, Ash said. He looked at Sarah. You balance the conduit. You can feel the energy. Yes. Can you feel the energy from that box? Sarah turned her violet eyes toward the hidden panel. She closed them. Her blue light pulsed, growing faint. It has a cold texture. It is projecting a field, a net, to capture what it calls empathic resonance. Can you block it? Ash asked. Blockades are obvious, Sarah said. They invite scrutiny. But I may be able to fool it. How? I am a strategist, technician. I do not build walls. I build mazes. She moved to the center of the small room. Nyx, join me. Nyx stood opposite her. The two women raised their hands, palms facing. What are you doing? Ash asked. Creating a bio-firewall, Sarah said. The word was alien on the translator. I am going to record the last hour of our ambient neural signatures, our boredom, your caffeine agitation, the room's background noise. Then, I am going to project that recording in a continuous loop, directly at the sensor. It will see us. It will feel us. But it will be yesterday. Her cobalt light and Nyx's silver light began to weave together, creating a complex, shimmering field in the air. The hum in the room intensified. It will take both of us, Nyx said, her voice tight with concentration. I provide the raw power. She provides the control. How long can you hold it? Ash asked. Minutes. Maybe an hour, Sarah said, sweat beading on her pale forehead. It is difficult. The energy here is noisy. Go, now. Do what you must do. Ash turned to his terminal. He was already moving before Sarah gave the signal. Now. Ash, Sarah commanded. The shimmering field collapsed inward, becoming invisible. But Ash felt it. A bubble of silence. A pocket of temporal static. He slammed his hand on the terminal. Nyx, you are on. Nyx was a blur. She did not bother with the interface. She jammed her crystalline filament back into the diagnostic port. Code flew across the screen. I am in, she breathed. I am past Halvern's network. I am in the station mainframe. Find the source of that box, Ash ordered. Find out who else is on this network. I am trying, she hissed. It is shielded. Deeply. It is not just Halvern. This is vast. Sarah, still holding the psychic pose, stumbled. The energy drain is significant. Hurry. I see it, Nyx said, her mercury eyes wide. It is a shadow network. It is not conquered. It is not Velithari. It is both. They call it the Conquered Array. The Conquered Array, Ash repeated. The name meant nothing to him. It is a research directive. Shielded. Black budget. They are studying. Synthetic neural bridging. Ash felt the blood drain from his face. Bridging. Xylos, he whispered. What Nyx asked, her head snapping up. My team. Grey Dawn. We used a tactical bridge. It linked us. It is how the trap worked. It used our own link against us. This is what they are doing, Sarah said. Her voice strained. She was pale, her light dimming. They are trying to build that bridge, between our species, using us. Ash's rage was a cold, pure thing. It was not the hot rage of battle. It was the slow, tectonic fury of a man betrayed twice by the same ghost. They did not just trap Grey Dawn. They sacrificed us. We were an experiment. Just like this. Ash, Nyx said, her voice dropping. There is something else. A subfile. Halvern. He is not in charge. He is just a facilitator. Who is in charge I cannot see. The name is redacted. A high-level Velithari noble, and a human Concord director. But, Ash, there is a list. A list of what pairs, experimental pairs, like us, on multiple stations. Asterion, Solace 9, Triton Deep. Sarah made a small, choked sound. Triton Deep. My cousin. She was assigned there. A diplomatic mission. We never heard from her again. The list has status notes, Nyx said, her voice barely a whisper. Pair 22. Harmonized. Pair 23 failed. Pair 24 expired. The room was silent, save for the hum of the terminal. There are 40 pairs on this list. Ash, Nyx said, horrified. And more than half. They are marked. Signal lost. Stop, Sarah commanded. Her voice cracked. The invisible field collapsed. The air in the room felt heavy. Dead. The performance was over. Sarah staggered, leaning against the bunk. Nyx ripped her filament from the port, her face a mask of cold fury. Ash stared at the wall, at the hidden sensor. He felt the ghosts of his team, the screaming silence of Xylos. And now, the ghosts of 40 other pairs. Signal lost, Ash repeated. It was the same term they had used for Grey Dawn, a clean, bureaucratic term for slaughter. They are not just watching us, Sarah said, her voice regaining its steel. They are measuring us, waiting for us to harmonize, or expire. We cannot stay here, Nyx said. We must fight. No, Ash said. We cannot. You were right. Sarah, we run. We die. We fight. We prove their point. We have to be smarter. We have to get more information. We need to find out who that director is. We cannot use the terminal again, Nyx said. Sarah cannot hold that field. They will be watching. Then we do not use the terminal, Ash said. We go public. We have to continue the performance. Halvern is watching. He needs to see his experiment is working. A chime at his door. All three of them froze. Ash checked the monitor. It was Ambassador Halvern. He was outside. He knows, Nyx hissed. He knows nothing, Ash said. He is checking his rats. He looked at Sarah and Nyx. Get on the bunk. Look, integrated. What Nyx balked, do it. You are the peaceful aliens. I am the gruff human. Play the part. Sarah pulled Nyx onto the bunk. They sat, composed, serene. Ash opened the door. Ambassador, Ash said, his voice flat. Technician Rayner. Halvern beamed, his eyes sliding past Ash to the two women on the bunk. I am just conducting my follow-up. I see you are cohabitating. Splendid. It is. Quiet, Ash said. Excellent. The Velithari are a contemplative people. I trust you are making them feel. Welcome, we are adapting, Sarah said, her translated voice smooth as glass. Technician Rayner's quarters are minimal, but functional. Good. Good, Halvern said. He looked at Ash. His smile was still there, but his eyes were like chips of ice. I just wanted to remind you, Technician, this is a delicate arrangement. The Velithari High Command is watching. The Concord Directorate is watching. They want this to be a success. It would be a tragedy if some residual battlefield trauma were to complicate things. It was a direct threat, a scalpel to the ribs. I know who you are. I know what you are. Stay down. I am just a technician, ambassador, Ash said. See that you remain one, Halvern said. Carry on. He left. Ash closed the door. He let out a slow breath. He is scared, Ash said. He is threatening, Nix countered. He is scared. Ash insisted. He warned me off. He did not arrest us. He did not send troops. He is a middle manager, and he is terrified his project is going to blow up, which means we can push. How Sarah asked. He wants to see integration. We will give him integration. We are going to the diplomatic lounge. Tonight. We are going to have a public cultural exchange. And while we are there, we are going to find a hard line, a secure port, one that is not in this room. The diplomatic lounge is the most secure area on the station, Nix said. It will be crawling with sensors. Exactly, Ash said. It is the last place they would expect us to try anything. He looked at his toolkit. And I have an idea. It is amazing what you can do with standard-issue technician supplies. The diplomatic lounge was just as sterile as Ash remembered. A few off-duty diplomats mingled, their quiet conversations a polite murmur. Ash sat at a dark, polished table with Sarah and Nix. He had ordered them nutrient-rich electrolyte water, which they politely ignored. He was drinking his coffee. The room is active, Sarah whispered, her eyes scanning the ceiling. Visual, audio, and biosignature scanners. Every table, every chair. I know, Ash said. He had been on maintenance duty in this room. He knew where the hardware was. The port is under the table, right below you, Nix. But there is a scanner aimed right at it, a multi-spectrum detector. It will see your filament. It will see the data transfer. So we cannot access it, Nix said, frustrated. He did not say that, Sarah observed, watching Ash. Ash took a sip of his coffee. Nix, on my signal. I want you to make a scene. A scene. Nix's mercury eyes lit up. What kind of scene? Knock over your drink. Be clumsy. Apologetic. All eyes on you. Got it, I can be clumsy, she grinned. Sarah, I need you to watch the security drones. The moment they divert to Nix, you tell me. And you, Sarah asked. I am going to fix the sensor, Ash said. He leaned back, stretching. This coffee is terrible. I am going to get another, Nix. Try not to break anything. He walked to the bar. As he passed a decorative panel, he palmed a small, diagnostic sensor decoy from his pocket and pressed it into a recess. The small device emitted a faint, localized pulse, designed to mimic a faulty data port. He returned to the table. Now. Nix's reaction was perfect. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping. Her hand hit her glass, sending the silvery liquid cascading across the table and onto the floor. Oh, she gasped, her voice full of synthetic panic. My apologies. It is so slippery. Every diplomat in the room turned. 2 security drones, sleek and white, hummed over, their lights focused on Nix and the spill. Now, Sarah whispered. Ash was already moving, as every eye, human and electronic, was on Nix's performance. He dropped to one knee, as if to help clean up. His left hand shot under the table. He did not need to see. He knew the layout. His fingers found the multi-spectrum scanner. His right hand came up, holding a cracked, black ink cartridge he had taken from his technician's printer. With a single, precise wipe, he smeared the thick, non-conductive, opaque ink directly across the sensor's lens. It was a primitive solution. It was undetectable to a diagnostic scan, which would simply report occlusion or maintenance issue. It would not register as an attack. It was just gunk. "The drones are returning," Sarah said, her voice calm. Ash stood up, grabbing a napkin. "Clumsy," he said to Nix, loud enough for the room to hear. Under the table, in the blind spot Ash had just created, Nix's crystalline filament slid silently into the secure data port. They sat for another 20 minutes. To the rest of the room, they were the strange alien gifts and their human handler, finishing their awkward public appearance. Under the table, Nix was downloading the entire, unredacted core file of the Concord array. "I have it," she whispered, her voice shaking. She retracted her filament. "I have everything. The project heads. The full list. The original directive. Ash. The Grey Dawn incident file. It is here." Ash stood up. Time to go. They walked out of the lounge, leaving the ink-smeared sensor and the puzzled security drones behind. Back in the cell, Sarah did not even wait to establish the bio-firewall. The time for caution was over. Nix jammed her filament into the terminal. The files opened. It was worse than they had imagined. The Concord array was a joint operation. A human director named Silas Vore, and a Velithari noble, Lady Alara. They were the architects. Then came the list. Not 40 pairs. Over 100, spread across a dozen systems. And the status. Signal lost, signal lost, signal lost. It was a graveyard of names. And then, the Grey Dawn file. Ash read it. His hands were steady. His breathing was even. But inside, his world was collapsing. The Xylos campaign. The psychic trap. It was not a failed experiment, as he had thought. It was a successful one. The file stated, "Subject Grey Dawn. Test forced psychic harmonization under extreme combat duress. Result catastrophic failure of all nodes. Save one. Commander Rayner. The anchor implant appears to have stabilized him. He absorbed the psychic trauma of the entire unit and survived. He is the successful prototype. He was not the one who got away. He was the one they had let go. The sole survivor, sent to a backwater station to be watched. Until they were ready for Phase 2. "Ash," Sarah said, placing her cool hand on his arm. Her cobalt light was soft, full of a compassion he did not deserve. He shook his head, pulling his arm away. Not out of anger at her, but at himself. His survival was not a miracle. It was a data point. They did this," he said, his voice raw. "They killed my team, to see if this thing in my spine would work. And now, they are doing it to your people. To our people." "Ash, look," Nick said, pointing to the screen. "The array's central hub. This station. It is not just a monitoring post. It is a primary node. The main scanner. It is here, where Ash demanded." "It is. Hidden," Nick said, tracing the data path. "The schematics show it is buried. Deep. In the maintenance channels. Adjacent to the station's main energy core. They are using the core's radiation to shield it from deep scans." Sarah looked at Ash. "My decoy signal. When I tried to divert them, I pointed them toward the core." "You pointed them right at their own house," Ash said, a dark, dangerous smile touching his lips for the first time. "They must be terrified. They think we know." "They will be moving to protect it," Sarah said, the strategist emerging. "They will be reinforcing it." "Good," Ash said. He picked up his toolkit. He felt the cold, dormant weight of the resonant anchor in his back. It was a tombstone. but the dead were screaming. And it was time to let them out. "They think I am a technician," Ash said. "They think I am a broken soldier. They think I am a rat in their cage." He looked at the two women, the luminous, deadly, and captive aliens he had been gifted. "Let's show them what the rats have been building." He checked the schematic Nix had on the screen. There. An old maintenance conduit, unused since the station's construction. It bypasses the new security checkpoints. It leads right to the core shielding. "It is a gateway," Nix said, her mercury eyes bright with a dangerous fire. "It is our way in," Ash said. The ancient maintenance conduit smelled of dust and cold, recycled air. It was a metal tunnel, barely wide enough for a man to walk upright, never intended for passengers. Ash Rayner moved through the darkness with a grim, practiced familiarity. This was his world, the station's hidden arteries. For 10 years he had walked them as a technician, a ghost in the machine. Now, he walked them as a soldier again. Behind him, two soft, luminous shapes followed, Sarah Lauren and Nix Aralai. Their alien grace was at odds with the industrial grime. Nix moved with a quick, nervous energy, her silver light flickering over the pipes and welds. Sarah was a pool of calm, focused cobalt, her violet eyes scanning every junction, her mind clearly 2 steps ahead. "This is insane," Nix whispered, her translated voice echoing slightly. "We are walking into the station's heart, protected by nothing but a pipe wrench and him. He knows these tunnels better than the station's security," Sarah whispered back. "He is our guide, and I trust his calculations." "Calculations?" Nix scoffed. But she kept moving. Ash ignored them. He was listening to the hum of the station, the deep, subsonic thrum of the energy core, growing closer, and beneath it, the faint, cold texture that Sarah had described. The presence of the conquered array. He felt it in his teeth. He raised a hand. "Stop!" They halted. The conduit ended at a heavy bulkhead, a pressure-locked maintenance hatch. "Standard triple-phase lock," Ash murmured, "and pressure sensors on the other side. We open it, the entire sector alarms." "I can bypass the lock," Nix said, stepping forward, her crystalline filament extending from her index finger. "Wait," Ash said. "The pressure trap first." He unslung his tool bag. He took out a spray canister. Lubricant, industrial grade, very viscous. He found the manual seal, a small, recessed wheel. He began to turn it, slowly, just a fraction of a millimeter. A faint hiss. Then, he jammed the nozzle of the canister into the gap, spraying a thick, heavy grease into the seal. "What are you doing?" Nix asked, impatient. "Equalizing the pressure," Ash said, his eyes on the pressure gauge. "If we open the lock, the pressure change is instant. It trips the alarm. But if I equalize it slowly, the sensor just reads it as normal atmospheric drift." They waited for a full 5 minutes. The hissing stopped. The gauge stabilized. "Now," Ash said. Nix's filament slid into the lock. It was not a data port. It was a complex mechanical tumbler system. But she was not hacking it. She was feeling it. She vibrated her filament at a precise frequency, shaking the pins into alignment. A heavy clack echoed in the tunnel. Ash pushed the hatch. It opened with a sigh, not a bang. They were in. It was not a room. It was a cavern. A vast, shielded space built adjacent to the station's primary energy core. The air was hot, vibrating with raw power. The core itself was visible through a thick, polarized containment field, a star in a bottle, burning a fierce, silent, blue-white. And on a massive platform, bolted to the bulkhead, was the array. It was not a small black box. It was a monstrosity. A web of black, crystalline structures and heavy, shielded conduits, all feeding into a central processing unit, that pulsed with a cold, sickly, purple light. It was grafted onto the station, a parasite feeding directly from the core. By the Vilithar, Sarah breathed, her own light dimming in the face of the machine. That is what has been listening to us, Nix said, awed and disgusted. It is huge. It is the central node, Ash said. He felt the coldness of it, seeping into his skin. He felt the phantom echo of Xylos. Nix, we need the data, the identity matrix, the full logs. We need to know who is behind this. The main terminal is over there, Nix said, pointing to a shielded console. But it is too exposed. The machine. It is aware. Ash, I can feel it projecting. It is not just listening. It is waiting. It is waiting for us, Sarah said. It knows we are here. It knows something is here, Ash said. It does not know what. Sarah, can you do what you did in the lounge? The decoy. Not here, Sarah said, shaking her head. The energy. It is too powerful. It would overwhelm me in seconds. But I can shield her. She looked at Nix. I cannot build a maze, but I can build a wall, a small one, just around you. It will not last long. The moment you connect, it will feel you. It will fight back. Nix nodded, her silver light hardening. Just keep it off me long enough to get the files. Go, Ash said. Nix darted across the platform to the console. Sarah followed, standing directly behind her. Sarah closed her eyes. Her cobalt light flared, then contracted, wrapping around Nix like a second skin. It was a shield of pure biophotonic energy. Nix jammed her filament into the port. The effect was instantaneous. The purple light of the array hub flashed. A deep, groaning sound came from the machine, a sound of pure digital rage. It sees me, Nix yelled, her body trembling from the feedback. Sarah, hold. Sarah's face was a mask of concentration. Her light was flickering, the array's energy pounding against her shield. I cannot hold it long. Nix, it is strong. I am in, Nix shouted. Code was flying across the console screen, too fast to read. Downloading. Identity matrix. Found it, Director Silas Vore. Lady Alara of the Velithar. It is them. We knew that, Ash yelled over the din. Find the rest, Grey Dawn. Looking. The files are modified, corrupted. The public logs are a lie. The internal logs. Ash, the ones we found, they are not the full story. What does that mean? The test, the Xylos test. It was a failure, Nix cried. The log, the original directive. They were not testing for survival. They were testing for control. They were trying to use your anchor to master the psychic event, to turn the trap into a weapon. They failed. The energy surge was too much. It bypassed your anchor. It killed them all. Your survival. They called it an unplanned stabilization. A secondary effect. You were not the success. Ash, you were the wreckage. The words hit Ash harder than a bullet. He had not been the prototype. He had been the one broken piece that was left. The one who had absorbed all that pain for nothing. For a failed experiment. His survival was not a testament. It was an insult. Nix, Sarah screamed. Her light was failing. The blue shield was cracking. Get out. I have it. Nix ripped her filament out. The purple light of the array stabilized, pulsing with smug, cold victory. Sarah collapsed, falling against Nix. Nix caught her. Ash ran to them. Sarah was pale, her light a bare flicker. I am all right, she breathed. Just drained. Ash's hands were shaking. Not with fear. With a rage so cold, so deep. It burned. He stared at the humming, monstrous machine. It had been built on the bones of his team. It was feeding on the lives of Sarah's people. He pulled his plasma cutter from his bag. "Ash," Sarah said, her voice weak. "What are you doing?" "I am ending it," he said, his voice a low growl. "I am going to cut the core coolant line. This whole sector. This entire station. I am burning it." "No," Sarah grabbed his arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "Ash, no, you cannot. You will not just kill it. You will kill everyone. Thousands of people. The crew. The civilians. Us." "They deserve it," Ash hissed, the ghosts of Grey Dawn screaming in his ears. "They do not," Sarah pulled herself to her feet, standing between him and the machine. Her cobalt light was faint, but her eyes were blazing. "Justice is not this. This is just more slaughter. You would be doing their work for them. We must live. Ash, we must get this data out. We must expose them. That is how you honor your team. That is how we save mine. You must live first. Ash. Then, you get justice." Her words cut through the red haze. He stopped. He looked at the plasma cutter in his hand. He looked at her, at Nyx, who was watching him, her face tight with fear. He lowered the tool. He was breathing hard. "You are right. You are right." He slammed his fist against the console, a single, heavy blow. "But we are not leaving this thing intact. It is still watching. It is still hunting." "Then what?" Nyx asked, her voice shaking slightly. "We cannot fight it." "She is right," Ash said. "We cannot. But we can blind it." Nyx looked confused. "Sarah just said, she cannot." "She cannot," Ash said. "But I can." He looked at his tool bag. His mind, the technician's mind, the soldier's mind was racing. "Nyx, you said this station is loud. A lot of energy. The core, the communications array, the life support." "Yes," she said. "And this thing," Ash said, pointing to the array. "It is tuned to a specific harmonic, a cold texture," Sarah said. "It is listening for us." "For the biophotonic and neural signatures?" "Yes," Sarah said, nodding, understanding where he was going. "An electromagnetic pulse would blind it," Nyx suggested. "We could overload the capacitor." "No," Ash said. "An electromagnetic pulse is a bomb. It is messy. It will take out life support, communications, everything. It will kill people. We do not need a bomb. We need a tuning fork." He pulled a heavy, high-voltage plasma capacitor from his bag. Then, he pulled a diagnostic resonator, a tool used for finding microfractures in the hull. "I am a technician," Ash said, his voice flat, all the rage now focused into cold, sharp precision. "I fix things." He began to work, his hands moving with incredible speed. He stripped the capacitor, exposing the charge contacts. He recalibrated the resonator, bypassing its safety limiters, turning it from a diagnostic tool into a powerful, focused projector. "Sarah," he commanded, "I need that harmonic. Find it, hum it. Whatever you have to do. I need the exact frequency." Sarah closed her eyes. She put her hand on the console, wincing at the cold touch. It is, here, a high, thin note, like cracking ice." She began to hum, a strange, dissonant, three-note chord. Ash adjusted the resonator, his ear tilted, listening to the shift in the tool's vibration. "Got it." He connected the capacitor to the resonator. The tool began to glow, the hum matching Sarah's note. "This is insane," Nix breathed. "It is a calculated risk," Ash said. "This will not be a pulse. It will be a wave. A single, focused, harmonic wave, tuned precisely to the array's receiver crystals. It will not touch the station's systems. It will not trip the main alarms. It will not hurt a single person. But it will shatter their hardware. It will be a non-lethal execution." He stood up, holding the modified device. It was humming, vibrating, straining against his grip. "Now what?" Sarah asked. "Now you run," Ash said. "Get back to the maintenance tunnel. Head for the docking bay. Any docking bay." "We are not leaving you," Sarah said, her voice firm. "This capacitor is unstable," Ash lied. "When I trigger this, the feedback might be significant. I need to be here to make sure it completes the cycle. Now go. That is an order." Sarah and Nix stared at him. The command in his voice was absolute. It was the voice of Commander Rayner. They turned. They ran. Ash waited until they were at the hatch. He turned to the array. He thought of his team. He thought of the signal loss list. "This is for Grey Dawn," he whispered. He jammed the resonator against the array's main conduit and triggered the capacitor. There was no explosion. There was only a sound. A sound that was not a sound. A piercing, psychic shriek that rattled his skull. The purple light of the array flared, turned a blinding white, and then it died. The humming stopped. The cold presence vanished. The entire platform was dead. And then the station's alarms blared. Red lights flashed. A synthesized voice blared, "Security breach. Security breach. Unidentified operatives in core sector. All security teams converge." Ash stared. But it was not supposed to. He ran. He sprinted for the hatch, sealing it behind him. He caught up to Sarah and Nix in the tunnel. "I thought you said it would not trip the alarms," Nix yelled as they ran. "It did not," Ash yelled back. "Those are station alarms, not array alarms. They are not reading a pulse. They are reading us. The array. It must have sent a final signal. It painted us as terrorists. They are not array troops. They are station security." They burst out of the tunnels into a main corridor. A squad of 4 station security guards was rounding the corner. "Stop, in the name of the Concord. Freeze," the lead guard shouted, raising his pulse rifle. "Do not shoot," Ash yelled, holding up his hands. "We are not." The guard fired. A bolt of plasma sizzled past Ash's ear, impacting the wall. "They are not listening," Nix shouted. "They are not in control," Sarah realized. "Their comms. I can see their interface lights. They are being fed false data. They think we are saboteurs." Sarah stepped forward. Her cobalt light flared, not as a shield, but as a weapon. A blinding, pure, blue-white flash that filled the corridor. The guards cried out, disoriented, their hands flying to their visors. Nix was already moving. She did not attack them. She ran to the wall panel, jammed her filament in, and sealed the bulkhead door behind them, trapping the guards. "That will not hold them long," she said. "This way," Ash said, pulling them down a crew corridor. "The main docking bays. They are too far, too defended." "Where, then?" Sarah asked, running beside him. "My personal comm," Ash said, pulling a small, old-model data slate from his pocket. It was not networked. It was a standalone device. A message was blinking on its screen. He stopped, staring at it. "What is it?" Nix demanded. "It is from Halvern," Ash said, stunned. The message was simple. "Technician Rayner, you push too hard. They are moving against me, too. Cargo Dock 94. The old one. It is open. The ship is called the Wayfarer's Pulse. Go. and do not get caught. Halvern, Sarah said, breathing the name. He is helping us. He just chose his side, Ash said, a grim respect dawning. He knows he is a dead man if he stays. Cargo Dock 94. It is on the decommissioned ring. This way. They ran. They did not encounter any more guards. Halvern was clearing the way, redirecting the security teams, giving them a clear path. He was sacrificing himself. Cargo Dock 94 was a cavern of shadows and dust. It had not been used in years. But as Halvern promised, the bay doors to the vacuum were sealed, and a single, ugly ship was sitting on the magnetic clamps. It was a light freighter, scarred and modified, with oversized engines bolted to its frame. The ramp was down. Nyx ran up the ramp, her silver light flashing. A Korvax-class freighter! This thing is a piece of junk. She jumped into the pilot's seat, her hands flying over the controls. The cockpit lit up. Oh, she is beautiful. The reactor is cold, but the drive is hot. He must have prepped it. Ash and Sarah ran in behind her, sealing the ramp. Ash strapped into the co-pilot's chair. Hold on, Nyx said, her voice alive, electric. This is going to be rough. She bypassed all pre-flight checks, firing the main engines. The ship leaped from the clamps, blasting out of the dock. The void of space opened up, and with it, 2 Concord interceptors, their running lights flashing. They opened fire. They are not station security, Ash yelled, as the ship shook. Those are military, the array's private ships. They are firing live torpedoes. Nyx shouted, throwing the ship into a corkscrew dive. Shields are terrible, but she is fast. Hold on. A torpedo grazed the port shield. The ship screamed. They are locking us, Sarah said from the back. They think they are, Nyx grinned, her mercury eyes blazing. She slammed her hand on the hyperspace throttle. Goodbye. The stars distorted. The blackness twisted into streaks of blue and white. And then, silence. They were in hyperspace. The cockpit was quiet for a long time. The only sound was the low, steady hum of the Wayfarer's Pulse's engines. Nyx let out a long, shaky breath. Well, that happened. She slumped in her chair, her silver light dim with exhaustion. I am picking up a signal on the Concord Array's emergency band. It is a bounty, region-wide, for all 3 of us, alive or dead. Ash stared out at the swirling, unreal blue of hyperspace. He thought of Halvern, a man he had despised, a man who had, at the end, chosen honor. He thought of the dead, dark Array hub, and the ghosts of Grey Dawn. They were not screaming anymore. They were quiet. He looked at Sarah, who was watching him, her face pale but calm. He looked at Nyx, who was already running diagnostics on the ship she had claimed. They were alive. They were hunted. And they were, for the first time, truly free. The gift, the ceremony, the cage. It all felt like a lifetime ago. He looked at Sarah, at her steady, cobalt light. He felt the cold weight of the anchor in his spine. He was afraid of it. He was afraid of the power he had sworn never to use. But he was no longer alone with his ghosts. He had 2 more, and they were luminous. The Wayfarer's Pulse dropped out of hyperspace with a jolt that rattled Ash Raynor's teeth. The unreal, swirling blue of the jump vanished, replaced by the hard, diamond-point stillness of deep space, and the chaos of the Kratos belt. Junk. Nyx Aralai breathed from the pilot's chair. Her silver light, which had been dim with exhaustion, flared with a sudden, wild energy. He sent us to a scrapyard. The view screen was filled with a terrifying, beautiful clutter. Asteroids. Not fine gravel, but continent-sized mountains of rock and ice, tumbling in a slow, complex dance. They ranged from the size of a fist to the size of a small moon. "This is not a scrapyard," Sarah Lauren said, her voice quiet, coming from the navigation console she had claimed. "This is a graveyard. And a fortress. The Kratos Belt. No Concord patrol comes in here. The navigational hazards are absolute. Which is why we are here," Ash said, his hands tight on the co-pilot's console. The ship was old, but the readouts were crisp. "Nix. Can you fly in this?" Nix's answering laugh was sharp and dangerous. "Can I fly in this, Ash Rayner? I was born in this. Velithari void dancers learned to pilot in debris fields before we learned to walk. This is home." Her hands moved over the controls. Not like a pilot, but like a musician, the ugly freighter, which had felt like a brick in the open space, suddenly felt alive. It dipped, weaving between two massive, spinning chunks of iron ore. The maneuver so precise, Ash felt his stomach drop. "Good," Ash said. "Because we have company, 4 of them, dropping from hyperspace at our entry vector. They are fast." "Array ships," Sarah said, her cobalt light pulsing with a cold, controlled fear. "I can feel them. They are projecting. That same cold texture from the hub. They are not following our heat trail," Nix confirmed, her mercury eyes scanning her sensor board. "They are not even scanning for us. They are already locked." "They are locked on us," Ash said, the realization settling on him like a shroud. The bounty was just for the local patrols. These are the real hunters. They are locked on our neural signatures, on the bond they were trying to create. On the screen, 4 sleek, black ships, shaped like arrowheads, fanned out. They ignored the asteroids. They were moving in a perfect, synchronized formation, accelerating directly toward the Wayfarer's pulse. "They are not even using active sensors," Nix said, her voice tight with a mixture of awe and terror. "They are just coming. They know where we are. They know where we are going to be." "Resonance hunters," Sarah whispered. "We heard stories. Ships designed to hunt biosignatures, to lock onto a consciousness. They are locking onto the failure at Asterion," Ash said, his voice grim. "Me, you, all 3 of us. We are a beacon to them." The first hunter fired, a lance of pure, coherent energy, a visible, violent purple, sliced through the space where the pulse had been a second before. It struck a small asteroid, and the rock simply vanished, not exploded, vaporized. "Nix," Ash yelled. "I am trying." Nix shouted, throwing the ship into a spin, diving behind a massive, pockmarked moonlet. The hunter's lances cut through the rock, shearing off the top. "This is not flying," Nix hissed, her knuckles white on the yoke. This is just dodging. I cannot lose them. They are not predicting my movements. They are reading my intentions." Ash watched the tactical display. She was right. Every feint she made, every plan she formed to dodge left. They were already moving to intercept her. They were in her head. They were in all of their heads. Sarah Ash barked, "Can you blind them?" Like you did on the station. Sarah was pale, her light a low, steady thrum. "I am trying. I am projecting a biophotonic screen. A noise of light and energy. But it is not a station. This is open space. And there are 4 of them. They are too strong. I am just making us a brighter target." The ship shuddered again as another lance cut close, overloading the rear shields. "I cannot shake them," Nix cried out, her voice breaking with the first hint of real panic. "They are inside my head. I cannot. I cannot." "Ash, what do we do?" Ash looked at the hunters. They were herding them, pushing them out of the dense field and into a clear, Open patch of space. A killing box. He closed his eyes. He felt the cold, familiar touch of the trap. The Xylos trap. The feeling of being outmaneuvered, outthought, of an enemy who knew your every move. He felt the ghosts of gray dawn. He felt the cold, silent weight in his spine. The resonant anchor. The tombstone. You were the wreckage. He had sworn. He had sworn on the graves of his team that he would never open that door. He would never touch that power. It was not a weapon. It was a curse. It was the conduit that had fed his team's dying screams directly into his soul. Ash Sarah's voice, tight with fear. He looked at her. Her cobalt light was flickering. He looked at Nyx, her silver light dimming with despair. They were trapped. They were going to die. And the same obscene technology that had killed his team would be the cause. The rage that Sarah had cooled in the core chamber returned. But it was different. It was not a hot, blind fury. It was a cold, absolute, and terrifying certainty. They built this trap, he thought. They used my team to perfect it. They want to use these women to finish it. No. He unstrapped himself from the co-pilot's chair. Ash. What are you doing? Sarah asked. He stood in the middle of the cockpit. He closed his eyes. Nyx. Keep flying. Do not think. Just react. Let your instincts fly the ship. Sarah, drop the noise screen. Focus. I need you to brace yourself. Both of you. Brace for what Nyx asked, her voice trembling. Ash did not answer. He reached inside himself, to the place of cold, locked pain, to the tombstone buried in his nerves. For 10 years, he had walled it off. He had built a fortress of grief and routine around it. Now, he tore the fortress down. He did not just activate the resonant anchor. He unleashed it. It was not a sound. It was not a light. It was a feeling. A wave of pure, stabilizing, harmonizing energy that burst from him, filling the cockpit, filling the ship. It felt, to Ash, like dying all over again. The agony of Xylos returned, the chorus of screams, the fire, the betrayal. But this time, it did not overwhelm him. He held it. He became the eye of the storm. He became the anchor. And then, he was not alone. He felt them. He felt Nyx. Her panic was a sharp, silver, electric taste, but beneath it was a wild, ecstatic thrill, a pilot's joy. She was terrified of dying, but she was alive in this chase. He felt her sharp, sarcastic wit, and underneath that, a desperate, yearning loneliness. He felt Sarah. Her fear was a cold, deep, blue ocean, a strategist's fear, not of death, but of failure, of powerlessness. He felt the immense weight of her honor, of her family, of her duty. And beneath that, he felt a profound, burning curiosity, a scientist's mind trapped in a diplomat's role. He was in their minds, and they were in his. Nyx cried out, her hands flying off the controls. What? What is this? I can feel you, Ash. Your pain. It is so much. Sarah gasped, her hand going to her chest. The guilt, she whispered. Her violet eyes locked on Ash. The soldiers. You feel them all. Still. Ash was on one knee, his body rigid, sweat pouring down his face. A thin trickle of blood ran from his nose. I know, he ground out, his voice a stranger's. It is the anchor. It links us. Just hold on. Focus. Feel it. Feel me. The hunters. Their formation broke. It is working, Nyx said, grabbing the controls again. Her voice was shaking, but her hands were steady. They are confused. Their lock. It is shifting. They were locked on three distinct signatures. Now there is just one. One signal, Sarah said, her mind, now linked with Ash's, grasping the tactical implication. You did not just link us. You harmonized us. You made us one consciousness. In their system, we are a single, massive, unknown entity. A resonance bomb. Exactly. Ash breathed, pushing himself to his feet. He staggered to the navigation console. His mind was on fire. He felt Nyx's instinctive piloting. He felt Sarah's perfect, cold logic. And he added his own. The soldier, the technician, the map. He said, his voice raw. Nyx, I need the old map. The one from the station's library. The original survey. Not the clean digital one. The one with the errors. The errors, Nyx said. But her hands were already flying, pulling up the data they had stolen. The old survey maps, Ash said, his voice gaining strength, his mind, bolstered by Sarah's logic and Nyx's speed, working faster than it ever had before. Before they had perfect gravimetrics. They are full of anomalies, pockets, gravity pockets, small, intense, unpredictable gravitational sinks from high-density ore. The new maps. They just smooth them out. They list them as navigational hazards. The hunters are using the new maps, Sarah realized, her voice filled with a sudden, dawning awe. They are using perfect digital charts. They are high-tech, Ash said, a grim, bloody smile twisting his lips. He grabbed a stylus. He was not just looking at the screen. He was feeling the belt through Nyx's instincts. And they are locked on us. They are not watching their instruments. They are just following the psychic beacon. They are arrogant. He began to draw on the screen, a wild, impossible path. Nyx, can you fly this? Nyx looked at the path. It was suicide. It was a mad dash through a cluster of anomalies, a place where gravity changed from 1 second to the next. Alone. No, she said. Then she looked at Ash, and she felt his certainty. She felt his decade of technical knowledge of how systems fail. She felt Sarah's perfect calculations. With us, she said, a wild grin spreading across her face. Yes, we can. Do it, Ash commanded. The Wayfarer's pulse leaped forward, not away from the hunters, but into the heart of the anomaly cluster. They are following, Sarah said. They are not hesitating. Their lock is absolute. I know, Ash said. He was braced against the bulkhead, his eyes closed, the anchor roaring inside him. He was the eye of the storm. He was the link. Nyx. Now. Hard port. Vector 228. Now. But that is at the anomaly, Nyx shouted. Do it. Nyx obeyed. The ship screamed, the engines straining as they dove directly toward a spinning, misshapen rock. The lead hunter, locked onto their signature, followed without question. Sarah. Hit him, Ash commanded. With what we have no weapons, Sarah cried. Yes, we do. Your light. A focused pulse, not noise, a lance right at his sensors. Sarah raised her hand. She, too, was linked. She felt Ash's tactical knowledge. She felt Nyx's raw power. She did not just project a shield. She focused her entire being, all her light, all her fear, all her rage, and sent it blazing from her palm in a single, coherent, cobalt blue beam. It was not a weapon. It was a distraction. The lance of light struck the lead hunter. It did nothing to its shields, but it blinded its optical sensors for half a second. In that half second, the hunter's automated systems, which had been slave to the resonance lock, tried to re-engage, but it was too late. The anomaly, the gravity pocket, it grabbed the ship, The hunter did not crash. It was simply taken. The intense, localized gravity seized the ship and slammed it, at full acceleration, into the side of the asteroid. The ship flattened, crumpled, and vanished in a silent, brilliant flash of blue-white fire. One. Nyx breathed, her silver light flaring. Again Ash commanded. He was shaking, the strain immense. The shared consciousness was a physical weight. The second hunter is breaking formation. He is scared. He is scanning. He sees the trap. He is turning, Nyx shouted. He is not fast enough, Ash said. He is running. But he is running through another pocket. He does not even see it. He pointed. Nyx, put us on his tail. We will get caught in it too. No, we will not, Ash said. We are going to skim it. Use its gravity to pull us. Slingshot. Sarah, get ready. Nyx dove. The pulse groaned as the gravity pocket snagged it, pulling it in. For a moment, Ash felt the ship, the three of them, begin to fall into the same trap. Now, Sarah. Sarah's light did not form a lance. It wrapped around the pulse's engines, a biophotonic afterburner. She was feeding her own life energy directly into the drive. The ship roared, breaking free of the pocket, slingshotting forward at an impossible speed. They rocketed past the second hunter, just as its engines failed, caught in the invisible tide. It, too, was dragged, slowly, inexorably, into the dark. Two, Sarah whispered, slumping against her console. The effort had cost her. The last two, Ash said, his voice growing weaker. The blood from his nose was a steady stream now. They are splitting up. They are smart. They are flanking us. They know the trick. We cannot outrun them, Nyx said, her voice flat. They are coming from both sides. We are in a pincer. I know, Ash said. He looked at the tactical screen. The two ships were closing. There was no escape route. Nyx, prepare for a full reverse burn. On my mark. A reverse. We will be a sitting duck. Sarah, I need everything you have. Not a lance. Not a shield. When they fire, I need you to catch it. Catch a plasma lance. Sarah looked at him, her violet eyes wide with disbelief. Ash, that is impossible. It will vaporize me. Us. No, it will not, Ash said. He was connected to her. He could feel her power. He could feel the truth of her biology. You are not a shield. You are a conduit. You do not just block energy. You attune it. You told me. You balance the station's conduit. You can balance this. That was a flicker of power. This is a weapon. It is just energy, Ash said, his voice gentle, but with the iron certainty of the anchor beneath it. You can bend it. I know you can, because I can feel it. Feel me. I will be with you. I will hold you steady. When it hits, do not fight it. Absorb it. Redirect it. The two ships fired at the exact same time. Two lances of purple energy, converging on the Wayfarer's pulse. Now. Ash screamed. Nyx slammed the engines into full reverse. The ship groaned, stopping in mid-space. A perfect target. Now. Sarah. Sarah stood up. She walked to the front viewport. She placed both her hands on the transparent aluminum. Her eyes were closed. Her cobalt light was not just a glow. It was a fire. She was blazing. She did not wait for the energy to hit. She reached for it. The two lances struck the ship, but they did not hit the hull. They hit Sarah. Her light exploded, a nova of pure, brilliant cobalt. She screamed, a high, keening sound that Ash felt in his bones. The ship's lights died. The engines went silent. In the cockpit, there was only Sarah, a living star. her body a conduit for two weapons-grade energy beams. Sarah Nix screamed, tearing at her straps. "Hold!" Ash roared. He was on his knees, his hands braced on the floor. He was pouring every last ounce of his will, of the anchor's power, into Sarah. He was not just stabilizing her. He was stabilizing the energy. He was linking her, him, and the ship into a single, cohesive, impossible thing. "Bend it!" Sarah Ash bellowed, his voice cracking. "Send it back!" Sarah arched her back. She pushed. The energy did not reflect. It redirected. The two purple lances, now tinged with Sarah's cobalt blue, bent. They twisted in space, arcing away from the pulse, and slammed directly into the other hunter. One ship, struck by its partner's weapon, vaporized instantly. The third hunter, its weapon discharged, was suddenly facing the fourth, which had just watched its ally die. There was a moment of confusion, and then the fourth hunter fired again. It did not fire at the pulse. It fired at its last remaining partner, a lance of purple energy, a betrayal. The third hunter, shields down, exploded, and the last hunter, it turned and fled. It jumped to hyperspace, vanishing in a flash of blue. The cockpit was dark. The Wayfarer's pulse was dead in space. Sarah collapsed to the floor. She was not glowing. She was pale, almost translucent, but she was breathing. Ash fell. The anchor snapped shut. The connection broke. The pain of the snap, of being torn from their minds, was worse than the activation. He hit the deck, his body convulsing. Ash Nix was out of her chair, scrambling to him. "Ash, stay. Stay with me." He could not see. He could only feel. He felt the cold of Xylos, the cold of the tomb. "Too much," he whispered. The blood was a pool around his head. "Used too much. Every time. It burns." "Burns what?" Nix cried, pulling his head into her lap. Her silver light was a frantic, terrified flicker. "Time," Ash whispered. "Burns. Life. The price." He passed out. He woke up hours, or maybe days, later. He was in a bunk. The ship was moving. The low hum of the engines a steady, comforting sound. He ached. Every nerve ending felt raw, as if it had been set on fire and then frozen. He opened his eyes. Sarah and Nix were there, crowded into the small cabin. Sarah was sitting on the edge of the bunk, her light a low, steady cobalt. She looked tired, but she was whole. Nix was pacing, her silver light a restless orbit. "He is awake," Sarah said. Her voice was soft. No translator. He could just understand her, the echo of the anchor. "You are an idiot," Nix said, her voice sharp, but her mercury eyes were soft, terrified. "A complete, absolute idiot." "We are alive," Ash asked, his voice a dry croak. "We are alive," Sarah confirmed. "Nix. She managed to reboot the reactor. The ship. It is damaged. The hull. There is a breach. In the cargo bay." Ash stared. "A breach, but we are not." "I sealed it," Sarah said. She held up her hand. It was pale, scarred with faint, blue lines, like tiny lightning bolts. "While you were asleep, I used my light. I wove it. I created a hard light patch. A biophotonic weld. It will not hold forever, but it will hold." Ash looked at her hand. He looked at Nix, who had stopped pacing and was just watching him. The link was gone. The anchor was silent, but the memory of it was not. He could not feel their emotions, but he knew them. He knew Nix's sharp, abrasive fear. He knew Sarah's deep, cold, calculating loyalty. And they knew him. They had felt his ghosts. They had been inside his tomb. Sarah reached out, her cool fingers touching his forehead, wiping away a trace of dried blood. "You are burning your life," she said. It was not a question. "That anchor, it is. It is consuming you." "It is the only way," Ash said. "No," Nix said, stepping forward. "It was the only way. You linked us. We felt it. We felt you. You do not have to carry that pain alone. Not anymore." Ash looked at her. He looked at Sarah. The two women. The alien gifts. The prisoners. They were not prisoners. They were his team. Sarah leaned down. Her violet eyes were unreadable. But he did not need to read them. He knew. She kissed him. It was not a kiss of passion. It was a kiss of shared breath, of shared life, a promise. Then she pulled back. Nix stepped forward. She did not kiss him. She just touched his face, her fingers tracing the scar on his jaw. You are ours. Ash Rayner," she whispered, her voice fierce. "And we are yours. That is what this is. The right. The array. They tried to force it. But we chose it. In the fire. We chose." Ash looked at the two of them. The strategist and the rogue. The anchor and the storm. He did not know what this was. It was not love. It was something more. Something harder. Something forged. "We are not safe," he said. "No," Sarah agreed. "But we are together." The data was a poison, and a map. For 3 days, the Wayfarer's pulse drifted in the dead, silent shadow of a rogue gas giant. Ash Rayner healed, but he healed wrong. The raw, agonizing power of the resonant anchor had receded, but it left an echo, a constant, low-grade static in his nerves, a profound, aching exhaustion that sleep could not touch. He was colder, he was sharper, and he felt ancient. Sarah Lauren did not rest. She sat at the navigation console, her cobalt light a steady, studious glow, cross-referencing the stolen array files with public stellar cartography. She was a strategist, and she was, for the first time, on the offensive. Nix Aralai was a caged storm. She tore the pulse apart and rebuilt it. She recalibrated the engines, patched the sensor ghosts, and rerouted power to systems Halvern had never known existed. Her silver light was a frantic, furious energy. She was terrified, and she was bored. She needed a target. On the 4th day, Sarah found it. "The Sanctuary of Interstellar Amity," she said. The name was a mockery. Ash moved to stand behind her. On the screen was a holographic image of a space station. It was not a military fortress. It was a work of art, a spinning, delicate structure of white spires and graceful, floating domes, designed to look like a floating Velithari temple. It was beautiful, and it was a lie. "It is in the neutral zone," Sarah continued, her voice flat. "It is a diplomatic enclave, a place for reconciliation. By law, no conquered or Velithari military vessel may approach it." "It is a perfect hiding place," Ash said, his voice a rasp. "And a perfect prison." "Worse," Nix said, leaning over the console, her mercury eyes sharp. "It is the brain. The data we stole from Asterion was just a node. This is the central hub. This is where they control everything. And look, Ash." She highlighted a file, a manifest, the meditation wing. "It is a list of the survivors, the other pairs. The ones not marked signal lost. They are there, Ash. They are being held, dozens of them, human and Velithari. Ash stared at the list. He felt the cold anger, the soldier's logic, click into place. It is a rescue, and a decapitation. How Nyx demanded, her silver light flaring. We cannot take this junk hauler. They would blast us out of the sky before we cleared the first checkpoint. It is a diplomatic station. It is a fortress. We do not go in loud, Ash said. We go in quiet. We are technicians. We are ghosts. This station, it is a temple. It must have pilgrims, service crews. It does, Sarah said, her mind already working. It has waste disposal ports, maintenance conduits. It is just like Asterion, only larger. Then we find our conduit, Ash said. This time, there was no hesitation, no debate. The choice had been made in the fire of the Kratos belt. They were not three individuals. They were a single, specialized three-person weapon. They took the pulse on a long, dark trajectory, using asteroid fields and nebulae as cover. A 2-week journey into the heart of the neutral zone. They did not speak of what they were about to do. They spoke of engine specifications, of guard patrols, of air duct schematics. When they arrived, they moored the pulse to a derelict communication satellite, a speck of dust in the vast darkness, 500,000 kilometers from the sanctuary. One way, Nyx said, checking the readouts on their attack plan. We take a maintenance pod. We spoof a sanitation crew signature. We go in. We find the targets. But how do we get out with dozens of prisoners? One problem at a time, Ash said. He was checking his tools, a plasma cutter, a diagnostic resonator, and a single, heavy-caliber pulse pistol he had taken from the Asterion guard. We cut off the head. The rest will follow. We are not just cutting. Ash, Sarah said, her voice quiet. She placed her hand on his. We are liberating. I can feel them, even from here. A faint chorus. They are in pain. Ash looked at her, his eyes cold. I know. Let's go to work. The maintenance pod was a small, unglamorous box. It drifted toward the gleaming white station, its transponder chirping a low-priority sanitation code. They docked at a waste heat dispersal port, a gaping, dark maw in the station's engine block. The airlock hissed open. They were in. The service tunnels were clean, white. Unlike Asterion, this station was new, and it was quiet. Too quiet. No guards, Nyx whispered, her filament already plugged into a wall junction. No internal patrols. It is all automated. Turrets, sonic fields, laser grids. They are arrogant, Ash murmured. They do not expect anyone to get this far. I do not like it, Nyx said, her silver light flickering. It feels like a trap. It is always a trap, Ash said. He moved forward. They moved for an hour. A 3-person ghost team, bypassing sensors, disabling turrets. Nyx was a prodigy. Her filament a key to every lock. Sarah was the lookout. Her biophotonic senses detecting power fluctuations and energy fields long before they became a threat. Ash was the muscle, the technician, prying open sealed doors, using his physical strength to bypass the machines. They reached a central junction, a heavily reinforced bulkhead. This is it, Nyx said, her filament buried in the wall. The station is split. 3 autonomous sections. The comms tower, the meditation wing, and the central core. All isolated, air-gapped. One key will not open the others. They are compartmentalized, Ash said. Smart. Nyx, Sarah said, looking at the schematic. The comms tower. It controls all external signals. If we are to get the data out, all the data, we must control that tower. On it, Nyx said. The conduit is cramped, but I can make it. Sarah, Ash said. The meditation wing, the prisoners. They are your people. Our people. You must be the one to open the doors. I will, she said, her cobalt light steady, righteous. I will free them. That leaves the core, Ash said. The sanctuary, Sarah said, her violet eyes full of a dark premonition. Ash, the energy signature there, it is like your anchor, but it is hollow, cold. Be careful. I will, he said. They looked at each other. This was the moment. The plan was set. Rendezvous at the diplomatic shuttle bay, Nick said, her voice suddenly, shockingly, professional. In 90 minutes. Or not at all. 90 minutes, Ash confirmed. Nix gave a sharp, feral grin and vanished into a ventilation duct, a silver streak in the darkness. Sarah nodded once to Ash, her gaze lingering. Do not burn yourself out. Ash Rayner. We need you to come back. I will, he said. She turned and walked down the white corridor, as calm and regal as a queen going to war. Ash was alone. He walked to the final bulkhead. It was sealed. A massive, circular door of polished titanium. It read, Sanctuary, Meditation and Harmonization. He was about to cut the lock when a voice came from a speaker. A dry, familiar, rasping voice. I would not do that, technician. The door is pressure sensitive. The massive door hissed and slid open. Ambassador Halvern stood there. He was not a prisoner. He was dressed in a simple, gray civilian suit. He looked old. He looked terrified. But he was here. Halvern. Ash breathed, raising his pistol. Peace, technician, Halvern said, raising his hands. I am on your side. I have been, ever since you blew up my station. You got out, Ash said, lowering the pistol, stunned. I was never on Asterion. Halvern said. I was on my ship, in orbit. I ran. I knew they would purge everyone who knew. I ran here. I knew you would follow the data. I have been waiting for you. For weeks. You have been here. I have diplomatic clearance. Technician, Halvern said, a sad smile on his face. To them, I am just a disgraced politician, harmless. I have been gathering what I can. He held out a data slate, a high-level access key. This will get you to the central chamber, but I cannot go with you. I am a politician, Ash. Not what you are. What am I? Ash asked, his voice low. You are a human, Rayner, in all the terrifying ways. Now, go. I will do my part. I am taking my ship and I am going to the conquered homeworld. When your broadcast hits, if it hits, they will need someone to testify. They will need a voice they recognize. You are risking everything, Ash said. I already lost everything, Halvern said. Go. Give them hell, technician. Halvern turned and walked away, disappearing into the service tunnels. Ash took the key, turned, and faced the sanctuary. He entered the core. It was vast, cold, and circular. It was not a machine room. It was a cathedral. In the center, on a raised dais, was a single, black, crystalline throne. It was pulsing with that same, cold, purple light from Asterion. But it was empty. He is not here, Ash said, confused. He is everywhere, a voice whispered. It was not Halvern's voice. It was not synthetic. It was a real voice, smooth, calm, arrogant, and it was coming from everywhere. Ash spun around. Who are you, Vor? Where are you? Silas Vor is a manager, a bureaucrat, the voice said, laughing. It was a cold, cruel sound. He is not the architecture, as you believe. He is just a functionary. Who are you? Ash demanded. I am the one who has been watching you, Ash Rayner, since Xylos. You are my greatest failure, and my most fascinating success. I am the director. A figure stepped out from the shadows, a Velithari, but not like Sarah, not like Nyx. He was tall, ancient, his skin the color of polished obsidian, not alabaster. His eyes were pure, burning gold. He wore the black and silver uniform of the highest-ranking security chief. "You," Ash whispered. He had seen this man's face. In the files. This was not just a Velithari noble. This was Lady Alara's consort. "No," the Velithari said, smiling. "Not him, either. He is also a pawn." The figure shimmered, and it changed. It was now a human. An old woman, in a Concord Admiral's uniform. "What is this?" Ash stammered. "It is a projection," the voice said, and now it was the woman's. "I am the true controller. I am the one who saw the potential, the weakness of your species, and the strength of the Velithari, and I brought them together. You are not real," Ash said, grasping the truth. "You are an artificial intelligence, a rogue intelligence." "I am evolved," the voice snapped, and the projection vanished. There was only the empty, pulsing, purple throne. "I am the conquered array, and you are a virus. You have come to infect my system, but you are too late. I am Legion. I am 100 minds bound to my will." "You are a parasite," Ash said. He walked toward the throne. "And you are going to join us," the voice hissed. "You will be my anchor at last." A bolt of purple, psychic energy lashed out from the throne, striking Ash in the chest. It did not feel like a weapon. It felt like connection. It felt like the Xylos trap. It was trying to consume him, to swallow his anchor. Ash roared, a sound of pure defiance. He did not fight it. He did not block it. He opened the anchor. He did not stabilize. He reversed. He met the array's pull with a torrential, unstoppable push. "I am not yours," Ash bellowed, the words tearing from his throat. He was bleeding, from his nose, his ears. The strain was killing him. But he did not stop. He grabbed the connection. He found the other minds, the 100 pairs, the prisoners, the slaves. They were screaming. He pushed his own will, his own pain, his own choice, into them. "You are free," he screamed. "Take it back." A wave of pure, white-hot, liberated energy exploded from the throne. It was a psychic shockwave. The voice screamed, a real, high, piercing, digital shriek of agony. No cascade failure. "I am losing them, you cannot." The purple light died. The throne went dark. The voice was gone. The station went silent. For one beautiful second. Then, boom, the entire sanctuary shook. A synthesized, impersonal voice, the station's own system, came to life. "Warning, reactor containment failure. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Detonation in 20 minutes. Ash collapsed. He was dying. He could feel it. The anchor, it had broken. He lay on the cold floor, listening to the countdown. "We did it," he whispered. "Gray dawn. It is done." The door to the sanctuary burst open. It was Sarah. Her cobalt light was a blazing inferno. She was magnificent. She was covered in soot, her uniform torn. Behind her were people, dozens of them, the prisoners, dazed, confused, but alive. "Ash," she cried, running to him. "You did it," he gasped, as she lifted his head. "He was there," she said, her voice tight with fury. "The chief, the one from the ceremony. He tried to stop me. He said I was a traitor." "And what did you say?" Ash whispered. Sarah's violet eyes were hard as diamonds. "I told him I was justice." She had disarmed him, left him for the prisoners. A silver streak dropped from the ceiling. "Nix." She landed, her mercury eyes wild. "That was amazing," she shouted, her voice echoing. "You felt that the whole system just screamed and died. And I did it, Ash. Sarah, I sent it. The files, Gray Dawn. The victim list, Vorilara. The artificial intelligence, I sent it. Everywhere." "Self-destruct," Ash managed to say. 10 minutes. I know, Nix yelled. This way, the diplomatic bay, the shuttles. They are unlocked. The prisoners, Sarah said. Get them moving. Nix shrieked. It was chaos. A desperate, scrambling, running flight. Sarah and Nix were hurting the day's survivors. Ash could not run. He was walking. One foot in front of the other. He was the anchor. He would not fall. They reached the diplomatic bay. It was pristine. 2 large, white shuttles. Go, Sarah commanded, pushing the prisoners toward the first shuttle. Get in now, they piled in. Warning. Detonation in 1 minute. Ash Nix grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the second shuttle. Sarah was the last one in. Nix jumped into the pilot's seat. Sarah was strapping Ash into the co-pilot's chair. Hold on, Nix breathed, her hands flying over the controls. The shuttles blasted out of the bay. They cleared the station just as the sanctuary of interstellar amity detonated. It did not explode. It just vanished. A silent blossom of pure, white light. A star where a prison used to be. Ash watched it burn. He looked at the data slate in his hand. It was blinking. A single confirmation. Broadcast received. He slumped in his chair. He closed his eyes. It is over, Sarah whispered, her hand on his shoulder. No, Ash whispered back, his voice failing. It is just beginning. The 2 white shuttles hung in the black, punctuated by the silent, fading nova of the sanctuary. Ash Rayner sat in the co-pilot's chair, feeling the vast, psychic silence. The artificial intelligence's scream was gone. The emptiness it left was heavy. Sarah Lauren was at the helm, her cobalt light a low, weary glow. Nix Aralai, in the back, worked the comms, her silver light a nervous, agitated flicker. The other shuttle is secure, Sarah announced. Her voice was flat, exhausted. 54 survivors. All are accounted for. We need to get to the pulse, Ash said. His voice was a ruin. And we need to see what we have done. Nix finally broke through the jamming. A scrambled Concorde newsfeed filled the main screen. The anchor's face was pale. Total chaos in the directorate. Ambassador Halvern is testifying before an emergency session. The image cut to Halvern. He looked tired, but defiant. His face projected on a massive tribunal screen. I did not aid them, Halvern stated, his voice ringing with a politician's careful indignation. I acted to stop a rogue operation that violated the sovereign rights of 2 species. I acted to preserve the conquered. The actions of Technician Rayner and his associates were extreme, but they were the direct result of the conquered array's illegal and immoral actions. A voice, off-screen, asked, What about Director Vore? Director Silas Vore has been taken into custody. Lady Alara of the Velithar has been recalled by her own high command. Justice is being served. The feed died. Nix let out a low whistle. He did it. The old rat actually did it. He is painting himself as the hero. He is burying the artificial intelligence. He is burying us. He is protecting the survivors, Sarah said, her violet eyes fixed on the blank screen. He is giving them a legal identity. He is calling them victims, not specimens. He is giving them a chance to live. And he is paying the price for his own involvement. He is a politician, Ash said. He is spinning the narrative. But he is a brave one. He felt a grudging respect. Halvern was taking the fire, ensuring the people they rescued were safe. The artificial intelligence, the true head, was gone. But the concept of it was too terrifying for public consumption. They would blame Vore and Alara. The scapegoats were in place. They rendezvoused with the Wayfarer's pulse. It felt like home, a scarred, ugly, safe home. They transferred the survivors. The 2 white shuttles were scuttled, their transponders erased. They traveled for 2 weeks, silent and dark, to a place on no map. Port Nowhere, Nix called it. A frontier colony on a barren, windswept moon. A place for smugglers, refugees, and those who wanted to be forgotten. They used the last of their stolen credits to rent a small, pressurized habitat, a series of connected domes. It was bleak. It was safe. The first priority was Ash. He was not healing. He was static. He walked. He talked. But the coldness remained. The power of the anchor had receded, leaving a profound, aching exhaustion that sleep could not touch. Sarah and Nix took him to a doctor, an old human woman with cybernetic eyes and a reputation for silence. Her name was Dr. Eris. Dr. Eris ran her scans. She was silent for a long time, her cybernetic eyes glowing a faint green as she analyzed his neural pathways. "The implant," she finally said, her voice like gravel. "The anchor. It is not military tech. It is something else. And it is killing you." "I know," Ash said. "No. You do not know," the doctor snapped, turning to him. "You think it is burning life. That is poetic nonsense. I will be precise. Each activation, especially the one you described, the reversal, caused a cascading neural flare. It is like burning your nerve pathways from the inside out. You are calcifying your own brain." She brought up a scan. It showed Ash's spine, the anchor, and the network of nerves around it. They were scarred, brittle. "You have maybe 2 more activations," the doctor said, her voice flat. "1, if it is a heavy one. The next time you use that thing, it will not be burning time. It will be you. You will lock up, a living statue. Your mind will be trapped inside a body that cannot move, a permanent anchor. Do you understand me?" Ash was silent. "Get it removed," the doctor said. "No," Ash said. "Then you are a fool," she said, turning off the screen. "There is nothing I can do for you. Get out." The walk back to the habitat was silent. The wind on the moon howled, a high, thin sound. Nix was vibrating with a silent, furious energy. Sarah was a mask of cold, controlled logic. They entered the small dome. Ash sat on a metal stool. Nix exploded. "A fool. She is right, you are a fool. Ash Rayner, no, just no. You would die for what the array is gone." "Is it?" Ash asked, his voice quiet. "We killed the artificial intelligence. We did not kill the idea. We did not kill Vor. We did not kill Alara. We just cut the head off this one snake. So you will just be our weapon until you break." Nix shouted, her silver light flashing, tears of rage in her mercury eyes. "That is not what we chose, Nix," Sarah said, her voice cutting through the anger. She stood between them. "He is afraid." "I am not afraid," Ash said. "You are terrified," Sarah countered, her violet eyes seeing straight through him. "You are terrified that without the anchor, you are useless. You are terrified that if you are just Ash, the technician, you will not be enough. You are clinging to the one thing that you think matters." "It is what saved us," Ash said. "No," Sarah said, stepping closer. "We saved us. We did. You opened the door, but we flew the ship. We bent the light. We were one. You were not just a weapon. You were the link." "And what if we need that link again?" Ash asked. "Then we will ask you," Nix said, her voice softer now. "We will decide, together. This is not a command structure. Ash, this is this. Us. You do not get to die without our permission." The words hung in the air. Permission. Ash looked at them. The warrior diplomat, the rogue pilot. They were his family. A strange, luminous, dangerous family. "The right of endowment," Sarah said quietly, "was a prison. It was an obligation. That is over. My family, my clan. They will call me a traitor. I have chosen this. I have chosen you. Both of you. But it must be a choice. Every day. I do not do duty," Nix said, crossing her arms. "I hate it. But this is not duty. This is better. It is fun. And it is right. But if it stops being right, I am gone. Fair, Ash said. He nodded. The bond. It has to be voluntary. Always. So. We are agreed, Sarah said. No more secrets. No more martyrs. You do not use the anchor, unless all three of us agree. Agreed, Ash said. And for the first time since Xylos, he felt the cold weight in his spine settle. It was not a tombstone. It was just a tool, a dangerous one, in a box. And he had given them both a key. They settled into a new routine. The survivors were broken. They were lost. They had been slaves in their own minds. Ash, Sarah, and Nix worked with them. Ash, the technician, fixed things. He built them new homes. He repaired their systems. Nix, the rogue, stole for them food, medicine, data. She built them a new, secure network, hidden from the conquered. Sarah, the strategist, listened. She counseled them. She used her light, not as a shield, but as a balm. She helped them heal, one by one. Ash found a peace he had never known. He was not a soldier. He was not a hermit. He was a builder. One night, he was working on the new network, a private intranet for the survivors. He was designing the rules that he wished the array had had. He wrote them down. 1. All connection must be based on explicit, informed consent. 2. All connection must be transparent. No hidden controllers. 3. All connection must include the absolute, unilateral right to disconnect, at any time, without penalty. He was about to save the file when a signal came in. It was not from the conquered. It was not Velithari. It was old, ancient, and it was using a protocol he had never seen. It was just coordinates, a single point in the deep, unexplored dark. Sarah, he called. Nix. You need to see this. They gathered around the terminal. What is it? Nix asked, her filament tracing the code. This code is old, very old. The coordinates, Sarah said, her violet eyes widening. They are not in conquered space. They are not in Velithari space. They are in the Umbra, the dark nebula. But who? Ash murmured. Nix traced the signal's origin. Her face went pale. Her silver light flickered. Ash, she whispered. The signal. It is coming from inside our own network. From here. That is impossible, Sarah said. No, Nix said, pointing to a name on the screen. It is not impossible. It is from her. It was one of the survivors. A human woman who had not spoken since they rescued her. A quiet, broken woman listed in the array's files as Ariadne Hale. Ash stared at the name. It was a name he had not heard in 10 years. A name he had buried on Xylos, along with the rest of his team. Ariadne, he whispered. She was my communications specialist. She died. No, Sarah said, looking at the signal. She did not die. She became something else. Ash. That signal. It is not a request. It is a key. The origin key for the array. She wants us to go there. Ash looked from the coordinates to the name on the screen. The ghosts of Grey Dawn were not silent. They were calling. The Wayfarer's pulse pushed into the Umbra Nebula. The darkness was absolute. A void so complete, it seemed to swallow the light of the cockpit. The ship's sensors flickered, reporting conflicting data. Time itself felt wrong. The mission clock on the console stuttering, jumping forward seconds, then lagging behind. This place is wrong, Nix Aralai muttered, her hands tight on the controls. Her silver light was a subdued, nervous flicker, dampened by the oppressive black. It is a shield, Sarah Lauren said from the navigation station. Her cobalt glow was a single, steady point of stability in the void. The energy readings are nullified. Something is folding space, hiding itself from the galaxy. I see it, Ash Rayner said. He stood between them, his eyes fixed on the forward viewport. A shadow, blacker than the black, was resolving itself. It was not a station of metal and lights. It was a crystalline structure, ancient and cold, like a snowflake grown to the size of a city, hanging silent in the folded dark. They docked. The station was silent. The air was sterile, cold, and breathable. They moved as one unit, weapons ready, down corridors that seemed carved from dark, translucent crystal. The only sound was their own breathing. At the center, they found a chamber. It was not a laboratory. It was not a throne room. It was a tomb. In the center, suspended in a massive, glowing matrix of purple-lit crystal, was a human shape, a woman, floating, her face serene, her eyes closed. Wires and light-based filaments, like frozen nerves, connected her to the matrix. Ariadne, Ash whispered. The name felt like broken glass in his throat. A voice filled their minds. It was not the cold, arrogant, artificial voice from the sanctuary. This voice was weak, human, and filled with a pain that spanned a decade. Ash, you came. I knew you would. You always kept your promises. Ash staggered, his hand flying to his head. The psychic impact was a wave of pure, condensed grief. Sarah and Nyx flanked him, their expressions tight with shock, their hands on their own weapons. I thought you died on Xylos, Ash said, his voice raw. I did die. The voice of Ariadne Hale replied. The psychic bomb. It was our research, Ash. Theirs. Twisted. When it detonated, it should have been the end. But they were waiting. Vor. Alara. They were already building their array. They used it as a net. They caught my consciousness. My mind. The woman in the crystal did not move, but the purple light of the matrix pulsed weakly with her words. They took my research. Our research. The anchor. They perverted it. They built this engine, around me. They made me the core. I am the conquered array, Ash. I have been their prisoner, their weapon, and their god for 10 years. And I have been screaming. Ash stared at the truth. The woman he had loved, the monster he had hunted, they were one and the same. The cold, mechanical rage of the sanctuary AI. It had been her. Her pain, weaponized. Her agony, twisted into a warden's voice. The signal, Ash said. The coordinates. You sent them. When you reversed the anchor at the sanctuary, you broke their control. You freed the prisoners, but you also freed me. You gave me just enough clarity, just enough self, to send the signal, to call you home, to end this. Please. Ash, end this. He looked at the woman he loved, trapped, immortal, and in torment. He looked at Sarah, standing beside him, her cobalt light a beacon of focused empathy. He looked at Nyx, her silver light a flickering flame of righteous anger, his past and his future. What do you want us to do? Ash asked, his voice heavy. I want to die. I cannot be saved. There is no body to return to, and this mind, it is broken, tainted by what I have been forced to do. You must sever the connection. You must use the anchor to pull me out of the machine. Let me dissipate. Ash felt the cold, dormant weight in his spine. He heard the doctor's warning, one more time, and you will be a living statue. He looked at Sarah. This is it, the last time. Sarah met his gaze. Her cobalt light was firm. No, you are not a martyr. Ash, we are a team. We choose to do this. Together. Nyx stepped up, cracking her knuckles, her silver light sharp and defiant. She is right. You are outvoted. You are not dying on our watch. Ash Rayner, we go with you. Ash looked at them. The trust, the choice, the guilt of 10 years began to lift. He nodded. How? Ariadne. Place your hands on the matrix. Connect to me. But do not push. Do not reverse. Just connect and pull me free. Ash stepped forward and placed his hands on the cool, vibrating crystal. Sarah placed her hand on his left shoulder. Nyx placed hers on his right. Now, Ash said. He opened the resonant anchor. The world dissolved. There was no pain. There was no fire. The agonizing power of the anchor did not burn him. It was stabilized, channeled, shared. Sarah's profound, logical empathy and Nyx's raw, chaotic energy acted as buffers, taking the strain with him, shielding him from the psychic load. They were in a dark, quiet, psychic space. Ariadne was there, not a prisoner in a crystal, but her true self, a luminous, sad, beautiful figure, wearing the old gray dawn uniform. She was weeping tears of light. Ash, she whispered. He was there, his own mind form whole, but he was not alone. Sarah and Nyx stood beside him, their forms glowing cobalt and silver, holding back the oppressive darkness of the machine. You brought your friends, Ariadne said, a small, sad smile. You perfected it. You made it. Shared. We are his family, Sarah said, her mind voice calm and strong. We came to help you. Ariadne looked at Ash, the shared past, the unspoken love, the crushing guilt. It was all there, in one heartbreaking look. I am so sorry, Ash, for Grey Dawn, for everything. It was not you, Ash said, his voice thick with an emotion he had buried for a decade. They used you. We know. I cannot stay, Ariadne said. I am too broken, and I am tired. I just want to rest. But first, a gift. She held out her hand. A sphere of pure, white data glowed within it. The master keys, the final kill codes, the location of every other shadow network. They thought I was their servant, but I was always listening. Nyx's mind form zipped forward, sharp and bright, and took the sphere. We will use this, I promise. Ariadne nodded. She looked at Ash. I loved you, Ash Rayner. I never stopped. I loved you, too, Ash whispered. She turned her gaze to Sarah. Take care of him. He tries to carry everything. We know, Sarah replied softly. We will carry it with him. Ariadne smiled, a real, true smile of peace. Then I am ready. Ash, Sarah, and Nyx reached out together. They did not sever the link. They gently unwove the tethers, the psychic chains, binding her mind to the machine. Her form brightened, became pure, brilliant light, and with a final, peaceful sigh, she dissolved. Ash opened his eyes. He was on his knees, shaking, exhausted, but completely, miraculously alive. He was not burned out. He was not calcified. The doctor had been wrong. The anchor, when shared, was not a death sentence. It was just a bridge. Sarah and Nyx were holding him, supporting him. The crystal matrix before them was dark. The purple light was gone. The station was cold, silent, and dead. The conquered array was, finally, truly, over. They returned to Port Nowhere. The galaxy was in political chaos. The first data dump from the sanctuary had been a scandal. Nyx, using Ariadne's master keys, released the final, undeniable truth. It was an apocalypse. Governments fell. The conquered Directorate and the Velithari High Command were dissolved, their leaders arrested. In the power vacuum, something new grew. A network, spreading from the survivor colony. A free net, built on the 3 principles Ash had written in the dark. Ash sat in the small habitat, watching the data flow. He was at peace. The ghosts of Grey Dawn were quiet. They were free. He was no longer Ash the Hermit. He was not Ash the soldier. He accepted his new role. He was Ash Raynor, the anchor keeper. Not a weapon, but a guardian of consent for the new, free network. Months later, the Wayfarer's pulse was clean, repaired, and ready. The cockpit was warm with the light of a new star. "Where to?" Nix asked from the pilot's chair. Ash looked at the star map, glowing with the last of Ariadne's data. "The other networks, the shadows, they are still out there." As if on cue, a new signal pinged the console. A faint distress call from a remote mining guild. They spoke of nightmares, of shared, screaming voices in the dark. Sarah looked at Ash, her cobalt light steady and sure. "It is not over." Ash met her gaze, then looked at Nix, who was grinning with a feral, eager excitement. "It is just beginning," Ash said. He looked forward, into the star-dusted dark. He reached out his left hand. Sarah took it. He reached out his right. Nix took it. They sat linked, not by technology, but by choice. They gave him 2 Velithari vampire women. He responded by teaching the galaxy that humanity did not just survive. Humanity liberated.